¿Cómo está usted?
Muy bien, muchas gracias. ¿A cuál de todos los doctores de la pantalla saluda? ¿A Crystal? ¿A mí?
Es la primera vez que no encontremos, ¿no?
Sí, es la primera vez. It's our first time here, yes. I have seen the other lectures in the past, and I'm very interested with them because there are like a light for the people who are interested in the Philippines, and I'm very happy that Christine have invited me. I'm very grateful to her and to working with her
Oh,
in this project that now I'm going to talk to you.
mm-mm. I understand that you had an exhibition somewhere.
In this no, in this moment, no. The objects I'm going to talk now are in the
Museum.
museum, but they are not in the whole exhibit. They are in the
Ah,
deposits. We are in
oh,
this, yes, and I hope with this kind of lectures and the researchers we are doing with Grisel, these objects can be in exhibition from everyone. We have plans to these objects, the objects you are going to meet now.
okay.
We're now live.
We're now online in YouTube.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, take the
Okay.
floor.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening from Mexico City. Good morning, good afternoon to our participants from all over the world, and welcome to the 11th episode of La Historia Olvidada, Filipinas, Mexico 2024. Before we begin, I'd like to lay out some gentle house rules and reminders. We would like to kindly request that the video cameras and microphones of all participants in Zoom be disabled throughout the program and presentation. After our speaker's presentation, we will have an open forum wherein everyone is encouraged to ask questions or provide their comments. Participants may also state or write their questions in the Q&A chat box. Participants are also invited to fill out the evaluation form, which will be posted in the chat box at the end of the session. A gentle reminder that the evaluation form will be the basis for the issuance of certificates of participation. It will also help guide the embassy in its future events. With that said, I'd like to invite on Her Excellency, Lilibet R. Diapera, Ambassador of the Philippines to Mexico, to deliver the welcome remarks. Ma'am?
Good evening to all our participants from various offices and universities in the Philippines and Mexico, members of the Diplomatic Corps, colleagues from other Philippine Foreign Service posts, members of the Filipino communities under our jurisdiction, those who are joining us via our YouTube channel, friends, and my colleagues at the Philippine Embassy in Mexico. We would like to welcome you to the 11th episode of La Historia Olvidada, Filipinas, Mexico 2024. On behalf of the Embassy of the Philippines in Mexico, allow me to express my sincerest gratitude to our distinguished guest speaker for the 11th episode of La Historia Olvidada, Filipinas, Mexico 2024, Dr. Maria Sanchez Vega, Deputy Director of Catalog and Zones, National Coordination of Historical Moments, National Institute of Anthropology and History of Mexico. Her talk is entitled Philippine Ethnographic Objects, the collection of the Museo Nacional de las Culturas del Mundo. I would also like to extend my deepest appreciation to our partners for this virtual colloquium series, especially to Dr. Cristil Obispado of the University of the Philippines, Diliman, for providing us with a resource speaker for tonight's episode. This initiative with the University of the Philippines, Diliman, El Colegio de San Luis, and the Philippine-Mexico Studies Program based at the Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico, supported by the Office of Senator Loren Legarda, started in October last year with the aim to highlight pivotal events and contexts that have shaped the engagements between the Philippines and Mexico, spanning from the 16th century to the contemporary period. As this is our last episode for this year, I wish to thank all of our participants, particularly those who have been with us since we started this virtual colloquium series. For the new participants, I would like to encourage you to watch all the previous episodes, which are available on the Embassy's YouTube channel, so you will understand more the deep historical and cultural connections that bind the Philippines and Mexico. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po. Muchas gracias a todos. Mabuhay and Feliz Navidad.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I'd like to call on now Mr. Ralph G. Roldan, First Secretary and Consul of the Philippine Embassy to Mexico, to introduce our research speaker for today's session.
Thank you, Mr. De Guzman. It's my honor to introduce our speaker for today. And yes, our speaker is a PhD holder in history from the Universidad Iberoamericana in Mexico City. Also, a master's degree holder in art studies at the same university, and with a BA in architecture from Escuela Mexicana de Arquitectura y Diseño Gráfico of Universidad La Salle in Mexico City. She has taken different courses on new technologies applied to cultural heritage, art and medieval history and Renaissance, as well as in art studies as a special degree. She has been a professor at the Facultad de Arquitectura y Diseño de Interior of Universidad Motolinia del Pedregal, at Colegio de Arte y Cultura of the Universidad de Claustro de Sor Juana, and in the Departamentos de Arte y Arquitectura of Universidad Iberoamericana. She has collaborated as head of exhibitions halls at Museo Nacional de Historia and in many other museums. Also, she has done collaboration project between the INA and the DIAPREM, Department of Architecture of the University of Ferrera, yeah, has collaborated independently with different museums and exhibition projects and cataloging art and history objects, has successfully coordinated in the interinstitutional linkage at national and international levels. Currently collaborates as Deputy Director of Catalog and Zones at the Coordinación Nacional de Monumentos Históricos. She has given lectures and conferences both in Mexico and abroad, as well as published articles on cultural heritage and museums in Mexico. As an architect, she has participated in different projects with Victor Marquez Architects and has collaborated with different firms in the area of architectural and executive project development. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce our speaker, Dr. Maria Sanchez Vega.
Thank you very much. I am very, very happy to be here. I'm very grateful for the people of the embassy, the ambassador, and to Cristina Obispado, who has invited me to these lectures. And I am very happy to present you the objects that the Museo Nacional de las Culturas del Mundo had in their storage or in the collections. First of all, I want to explain that el Instituto Nacional de Antropología e Historia has a very big museum network. They have 164 museums all over the country in Mexico. Of these museums, 5 of the museums are national. They are the Museo Nacional de las Intervenciones, el Museo Nacional del Virreinato, el Museo Nacional de Historia, el Museo Nacional de Antropología y el Museo Nacional de las Culturas del Mundo. These museums were founded by a presidential decree in the early years from the 20th century, and each of these national museums have a very precise objective of the objects they have in their halls. So the Museo Nacional de las Culturas del Mundo is the museum who has the objects that came from other countries in the world, and to show the Mexicans how other people lives and the history and the arts from the other countries. So this museum is in the center of Mexico City, is in the building they use. It was the La Casa de Moneda in the viceroyal period, in the time of the colony, and it's a very beautiful museum. And they have collections from Japan, China, Egypt, and of course Philippines. So the objects I'm going to talk about are not here in Mexico because they came with the Galeón de Manila. these objects were here because they wanted to be here to show how the people in Philippines lives. Because in the other national museums, we have objects that came with the Galón de Manila. For example, in the Museo Nacional de las Culturas del Virreinato, we have a lot of ivory pieces, very beautiful, and they came with the Galeón. The objects in the Museo Nacional de las Culturas didn't not came in that way. It was this collection was make like in purpose to show how was or is the civilization in Philippines. So that's one of the things I am very interested with. And this research is because we have a project with the SOAS in England. And this project, the leader of the project is Cristina San Juan, the Dr. Cristina San Juan, who is making mapping with all the Philippines objects in the world. So my assignment is to find these objects in Mexico and put it in this mapping to show all the interesting people to study or to know about this culture and the relationship between those countries in this map. So we also are working with the Dr. John Blanco from the University of San Diego, and of course with Cristil Obispado, who is now a very close colleague of me because we went to see the objects you are going to see now together, and she explained me a lot of things that I don't understand so easy because I was not so close to the culture, because I have studied the objects that came from the Galleon de Manila, but not this kind of objects that are archaeological more than historical from my point of view. So when I talk with the director of the Museo Nacional de las Culturas del Mundo, the Dr. Alejandra Gómez Colorado, and explain the importance of the project to show everybody these objects they have from Philippines in the museum. She was very excited as she allowed me to go to review all the objects and to give me the information they have in their historical archives to understand how these pieces arrived to Mexico. So I'm going to show you some of the pictures we take when we had these visits, and I will start to talk about the object and the things we knew about these objects. For the beginning, when this museum was making their collections in the 1978, more or less, they decided they need some pieces from Philippines. So the researchers who were in charge of this were contact with this Sotheby's, this house that sells a lot of art, and write a letter saying that Mexico was interested to buy this kind of collections to this kind of museum that shows the culture of all other countries in the world. So they make a contact with an American collector that has bought these objects directly from Philippines. So all these objects came from the same collector in the United States. So the objects I'm going to show you goes to Philippines, to the United States, and then to the United States, came here to Mexico, and they are well preserved here in the storage of the museum. So let me, I'm going to start to show the images. I only have image. I don't want to make a PowerPoint to this lecture because I think if you saw the images of the objects, Cristil and I was allowed to touch, and you are going to understand better what we are so excited of these objects that at the beginning, I was very sad because I said, nobody wants to know about these objects because everyone wants to know what happened with the Galón de Manila and the objects that arrived in that way. But these are very beautiful objects, very special objects that show us another way to live. So another culture and another kind of knowledge. So they are very important, and I really hope we can make a book or something more with these kind of objects. So I'm going to show this, share, okay, I'm going to share my photos, and I'm going to explain some things to you. These are the bottom of this object that we found in the museum, and I'm going to explain something. These are the numbers they use in the Museo Nacional de las Culturas and the INAN to make the registration of each object they have. So the object is this one, who is very beautiful. They have these beautiful designs of animals and persons and some kind of writing that we don't know now what is saying for sure. And what this is a better image. It's wood. It's a little piece of object, it's very big. And these photos make all the surrounding the piece, so you can saw everything. And this is the interesting part. This is, Crystal told me, this is like some kind of words, or it's a text. It says something, I don't know what. And here is the object, you see? Inside the object, we have this kind of like a little pens. So what we think, these are made for make designs in the people's skin or in some kind of surface, because you can put ink in this part of the object. So I don't know how it is called. It has two parts. It's like a little box that you put these pens inside, and then you put the inks here. So we have several. This is the little pen that you can put the ink and make all the designs. It was very interesting to us to try to understand this kind of object, because it's a little one. You can carry like in a little bag. You can't not, and it's for like this pen is so tiny that you can make like a very fine kind of lines in the surface you want to paint. I'm not quite sure if when they were made, because the information that was in the archives of the museum didn't say that. When they sell the objects to the museum, the collector said to them that all these pieces were from the 19th century. But we started to see that some were not from the 19th century. Maybe some were from the earliest of the 20th century. The other objects they have is this kind of arrows with this beautiful, sorry, I have the numbers because this is the way that we can know it. But these arrows have different kind of points. The end of the arrow, which is metal, is different because the things you want to hunt. The interesting thing of these objects are that when I saw the first pictures, I didn't realize the size of the arrows. And the arrows are very little, and they have the arc to this arrow. So I think these kind of arrows are to hunt like little animals. I'm not sure that some of these were using to hunt, for example, to fish. I don't think so, to go to a river and fish some fishes, or to hunt another kind of animal. They have a lot of them. with these beautiful feathers and these beautiful designs in all of the arrows. You see? Sorry, the numbers are here because are important to us. This is the lady who is in the archive, in the museum, who is showing us this object. The question was if the object was from Philippines or not. So we have objects that we are not very sure from if they are from Philippines. So we started to, this is for fish. This is access to fish. Sorry, we are here in the museum with the lady. Sorry. And that's for this part. And I have another pieces that I want to show you. One thing we do in the museum was make a photogrammetry of the objects that we thought were very important to see or to show. Why? Because the museum has a web page that shows the pieces that are important or they want to make like to know the people this, and we make 3 of the objects in photogrammetry, and I want to show you because there were very interesting objects. A minute, and I'm going to put the video we have. And we have a basket, a shield, and a sculpture, 2 that we made. First, I'm going to show you the basket. Okay, I'm going to share again my images. This. Okay. This is a work one of the ladies of the Museum of Coordinación de Monumentos Históricos do with me. And you can see we have made a lot of pictures and make this video with the object. This is a basket. This is very interesting because you can carry something. It's a little one that you can carry in your back. You can put little objects inside. But the thing that is beautiful is the design you have here. So when you put the bag in your back, you see this kind of design. So it's like a very elegant basket. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if the basket is for carry fruit or for carry things or what kind of use the basket had, because we are in process of the research of these objects. The other object we have made by, like in these videos with the photogrammetry, was the shield, who is a little shield. It's not a very big shield. And it's very interesting because it covers you very well. So I'm going to show you. And share. Okay. This is the object. This is the shield they have. We have, you can put your hand over there and you can cover yourself. The shields had a very beautiful design, as you can see. So I suppose it can be used from like some kind of ritual, if not for a war. It's a shield that I don't think the people used to fight with another human being, but it is the piece they have in the museum. The other object we have is a sculpture. This one I'm going to share again. This is a sculpture. They knew this in the museum, this object, like the negritos, but they have 2 of these sculptures. They are not very big. They are a little one object, and it is very beautiful, and it was very hard to make the photographs because it's very black. So we have some lights when we do this kind of work. This kind of work helps us to understand better the object and then go to the research, because when we have the, I was checking the archive object, I realized that a lot of them don't have the information we need. For example, when the exact place they were made, how important was the piece for the culture, who specifically who was the owner of the object, why they own this kind of objects. So it was like a lot more questions than answers we have in the beginning of these objects, because every of them came from the same part of Philippines. The information that the collector, who was Mr. George Brandt, gave to the museum says that the objects came from only from the Philippines island, or from, for example, the culture of Balam. It was a very general information of the objects. So it was like, when I started to talk with the director of the museum and said, where these kind of pieces, who says to us, she said to me, we don't know. We don't know because we don't have more information. That's the reason we started to work with Crystal, because we need someone in Philippines to let us know the importance of these objects, how they use the objects, the time of factor of the objects, and even the materials, because we wasn't allowed to know the kind of woods, of leathers, of bones they were using, because we are not familiar with them. Another very important piece we have is a bracelet that I'm going to show you, we wasn't very sure the material and the use. If you see the names that the collector gave to the museum of the objects, they don't have like a relation with the use they used to have. I'm going to open, I'm going to share again. For example, we have this bracelet that is really beautiful, but we didn't understand the use. So it's bone. At the first, we don't know if it was from the kind of animal that the bone was. We asked the director of the museum if the people of the person who is in charge of the conservation office can make some studies to let us know what kind of material is this. And you can put it in your arm. It's not a very big object, and it's a very delicate object. It seems that it can be broken very easily, but they have a very good conservation. They don't have problems with the conservation. They are in very good shape. Another things we have is like this little hat. I'm going to show you. This one, for example. You see, it's very little, and we were not sure the use of the hat. So it were interested to us to see the design, which is very beautiful. The factory is very well made. They have beautiful colors. The colors you can see is like very reds and yellows, but we didn't know how they use the object. I have a question here. Oh no. And something that sorry, I was reading the news. The other objects we have a lot of arrows, and I want to show you the arc and two other another shield that they have in the museum. I'm going to show you. A minute, please. And what this shield, we see it, sorry, the other shield, this one. Okay, sorry. This is the other shield they have. It's very different for the other one. I remember is little that the other one I show you, and it's not a heavy shield. The other wasn't heavy too. One of the things we want to do with the pieces was to know the weight, but we don't have the proper elements to know that, so only we can measure and review the objects directly. And well, the other object I want to show you that I thought it's relevant, we have three pieces that we believe are from the time that Philippines and Mexico had a lot of relationship between them about the Galleon de Manila, for sure. This, I'm going to open the objects and I'm going to show you. It was about, there are two basils and this one. I'm going to show. Share and this. One of the objects is this little basil who has this beautiful design like a flower in the center who is blue. And the other one is this other basil. This one. This one. Who is little. These are objects that you can put in a table, and for example, from the drink some water, on to put some like pieces or something like seals or something like that. These are not big pieces or objects, are littles. And the thing or the interesting thing of this, all of this, is that is only the selection of the collector. We are not able to make a relation between of these objects and to say they came from the same people or they came to the same village. So it's like very difficult to try to understand objects that are so isolated between them. They have even some necklaces. I'm going to show you the necklaces because they are beautiful. Okay, we have two. I'm going to show you the two of them. That's it. And share. You see them? And this kind of necklace who are made from some kind of beads, seals, and some kind of a little pieces of metal. And there are little, you can, if you put in your neck, they are very, very near your neck. They are not big or very long necklace. Where this, as you saw, these objects give us more questions than answers. And we are in the process to understand them and to know the importance of the objects, not to the Mexican culture, sorry, not to the Mexican culture, to the people of Philippines. And in the same time, I want to make like a parallel. If Philippines have these objects in this time, what kind of objects we are making here? Because Mexico and Philippines have all the time had a very important relationship. And in the moment of the independence, the relationship go away in the way that was in the colonial period. and it's interesting. Or we want to know. I want to know more about these objects and what can they say to us and the importance to us like Mexicans. When I want to say that the embassy gave me three. The public sent me a questions. One of the question was about the Galeón de Manila. I'm very sorry, I'm not an expert of the Galeón de Manila, and I this object didn't came in that way, as I said, so I can answer that question. I'm very sorry. And the other question was, what happened with Philippines and Mexico in the independence, where I'm not quite sure about what happened, because each country has its own problems and they have to solve it. So I'm now focused in these objects and the use of the objects to make them to show in Mexico the importance and to put them in the halls, and all the people in Mexico can saw that objects and know more of the culture of Philippines. And I don't know what else can I say? Maybe more, but the time is ticking. I don't know, is there questions? Maybe a lot.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maria, for that very informative presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is now open for your questions and comments. If you have any questions, kindly raise your hand using the Zoom feature. Ms. Crystal Obisado, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Congratulations, Dr. Maria Sanchez. Thank you so much for raising many points, especially about the Philippine-Mexico relationship, which goes beyond the galleon trade. Also, for sharing with the public that we have more concerns. We're getting more questions than answers with these objects, no? But I would also like to emphasize that we are dealing with a lot of museums in Mexico, and we would need to collaborate with experts on ivory, on wood, and especially these 19th century objects, no, which I am not really an expert. And so I would like to acknowledge the presence of our two scholars in the Philippines, Dr. Fernando Sialceta, an anthropologist in the Philippines, and of course, Dr. Mariana Esbetlana. No, perhaps we will consult with you later regarding this project. But yeah, I just like to congratulate Maria for this presentation. I know you're so busy, and yet you have time to for this presentation. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Crystal. I am really interested in these objects because everybody sees the same old objects in the museums all the time. But what happens with the museums that are in the storage? The museums that tell us another stories that have to be told. So when we were, and I'm talking about Cristina and myself, in front of these objects, we were so exciting because nobody saw that the objects, they can tell us a lot of things, and we can make like a history of these objects. And they said to us another kind of relation about Mexico and Philippines, more far away or more or different that the relationship we have in the colonial time. That is, the more of the research are centered in this time and this kind, the objects that came from the Galeón de Manila. There are very different objects, and objects that came here in a different way. It's like nobody wants to know more, and we have to know more of this kind of objects. The same. There is a question.
Dr. Maria, I think we have one volunteer. Sir Ray, the floor is yours.
Yes.
Hola, buenas noches.
Hola.
Buenos días aquí. Yo soy filipino, pero yo prefiero hablar en castellano porque esta es una de las pocas ocasiones que puedo practicar el español.
Muy bien.
Entonces, bueno, decirle que enhorabuena por su presentación. Y luego decirle que la mayoría la mayoría de los objetos son de procedencia de la región cordillera del norte de Luzón. Casi estoy seguro. Entonces, también decirle que sean, postear nomás estos objetos, estoy seguro que habrá gente que lo van a comentar, o sea, postear en los medios sociales. Es fácil porque estos objetos son muy casi corrientes. Por ejemplo, un objeto de ahí, el pasiquín. Yo utilicé eso durante mis días universitarios, o sea, en mi tiempo de la universidad lo utilicé. Entonces, es fácil postear nomás los objetos en los medios, las redes sociales. Bueno, ¿qué más? Pues nada, estaba esperando más pues que claro, del punto de vista en que una relación entre México no solamente y Filipinas no solamente encaja sobre el virreinato, ¿no? O sea, también hay que demostrar algo de Filipinas precolonial. O sea, es muy buena la iniciativa, es muy buena. Muchas
Yeah.
gracias.
Thank you very much. I suppose I have to answer in English because more people understand English. Thank you very much for to say.
¿Puede traducir también un poco lo que estoy haciendo? La verdad es que estoy muy más. Gracias.
Thank you. I don't know if the other participants understand more or less what Fernando I thought said to us, but
No,
he was.
me llamo
All
Raimundo.
right, I'm sorry. I saw different hands. Well, what I have to say is I can't post the images in the website to know more because these objects now are property of Mexican nation. So I need a special permission from the INA to put it in a website and to put it in, for example, in the Facebook or something like that, because it's now is part of our heritage. So we have to take care of them. And the museum, the people is very, they have a lot of respect of the objects and how they have to be treated. So I have to have the same respect for these objects that the objects that came from other parts of the world, or for my own objects, for Mexican objects. So I can do that. I have to have a permission. That's why we want to make an exhibition. We want to make a book, because it's the way that we can make these objects that maybe for the people of Philippines are very quotidian or not extraordinary, but for us are extraordinary because we don't have them. And these are the only objects we have from Mexico. So it's very, I am very interested to put these objects in the world, both in the terms that the law of Mexico allowed me to do it.
Thank you, Dr. Maria. I think we have one more participant. Mr. Fernando Zelcita, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation, Dr. Vega. Regarding the objects, well, I'm an anthropologist. However, I'm not an authority on these objects. But I love these objects. I noticed the collection has objects from two areas principally, from the island of Palawan and from the Cordillera Central. From the island of Palawan, you have that wonderful bamboo tube with inscriptions in Tagbanwa script, which unfortunately I cannot read. Yes. But it's a wonderful. I have a similar object in my office. That's why I recognize it immediately. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for
this
information. It's very important to me to know, even if they're from the Cordillera and for the island of Palawan. You said to me, is correct?
Yeah, from the Cordillera Central.
Okay.
The shields are from the Cordillera Central in Luzon. And I think the basket, the pasukin,
Mhm.
with the grass coat.
Mhm, mhm.
It's also from the Cordillera Central.
Okay. Maybe
The statue, the bulol,
Mhm, mhm.
is from the Cordillera Central. It depicts an ancestor. Yeah,
Okay.
that's very important. The object is very important because it's used for guarding the granaries,
Okay.
the rice granaries, keeping the rats away.
Okay.
They become
Very
black because
interesting.
they're bathed in the blood of pigs, and
Okay.
eventually, of course, the blood as it ages becomes black.
Okay.
They're wonderful. I have
Oh,
a little copy of a bulol right beside my computer. I always look at it once in a while. I love them. Yeah.
okay. Well, thank you very much for the information. It was like new for me, so I'm taking notes to make more research and maybe have contact with some of the people who are interested in these
Oh
things.
yeah. There are experts on the arts of the Cordillera Central
Okay.
in the
Thank you.
city of Baguio. They can give you more information, and
Thank
also they're experts on the arts of the island of Palawan,
Okay. Thank you very
formerly
much.
called Paragua under the Spaniards.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sir Fernando. Ambassador Diopera.
Yeah, this is good. The question is directed to Dr. Fernando. You
Mm.
said that the material is from Palawan, the tube.
Yeah,
What
I think so.
it was used for what, sir? I mean,
I don't know. Was it used for battle? I don't know. For
for
carrying battle, not could be.
because Dr. Maria was saying that it's possible that it's used for making tattoos, no? Or writing.
No,
We
well,
were,
no.
it was
no.
a supposition. I was not sure. We thought that because we find ink in the
Yeah.
little pen and in the head of the object. There were
Mhm.
ink. So we suppose they used the ink to write in somewhere, maybe for in the skin or maybe in,
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Yeah.
because we have the ink there, we believe it's something to write.
Yeah, I'm also interested to know because these are, you said, objects that are used every day. And I would like to know really what is really the use of these objects, because it
Yes.
gives us the story of how our forefathers lived
Yes.
before, right? They made use of baskets. They made use of wooden materials. Like the basket, the backpack that you showed us.
Yeah,
Yes.
pasukin.
Yeah, the pasukin. I was thinking maybe it's like to protect the basket from the rains as well. Could it be a raincoat?
Could be. Yeah, definitely.
Or
Yeah,
some-
because the rain
yeah.
slides off the thick grass.
Yeah.
Definitely. You have a
So-
version of that actually in Batanes, where the raincoat is entirely of grass and it covers the body. You have a version. It's a spectacular version in
Okay.
the islands of Batanes.
Because in the museum had another basket that don't have the grass outside. It's only the basket. It's the same shape, the same color, the same size more or less, but they don't have the grass. The thing that is make this basket very beautiful is the grass, because
Yeah.
when of course I don't put the basket in myself because I can't, but if you think that you can put it that and you are walking, you have a beautiful ornament on you.
Yes.
It is useful, it's beautiful. So
Yes,
it's like
yes,
you are
yes.
proud to use this basket and go walking somewhere. So that's the reason I said I had a lot of more questions than answers with these objects, and that's what it's very exciting, because we have new things to discover, to know, and to show to the people, to Philippines and to Mexico. You know, we have these objects, that in Philippines means this, and we have the fortune to have this in our museum to show you the way of life in Philippines. That's why it's very exciting to me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Dr. Maria, we have one question in the chat group from Sir Domingo. He's asking, how did the museum contact the collector with regard to the basket? If I'm correct.
All the objects were from the same collector, and the museum contacted him because with the help of Sotheby's. The researchers in Mexico have a very good relationship with Sotheby's and another houses of this kind that sell art, and they specifically ask them if they can help to make contact with someone who had a Philippine collection, because the museum are interested in that. So it was Sotheby's who made the contact to the collector, and then the collector lives in the United States, and the collector sell the objects to the museum.
Thank you, Dr. Maria. We have one volunteer, Miss Maria. The floor is yours.
We don't hear you. I'm sorry. You have your microphone.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
I'm going back to the like the backpack, which has like protection. It's like a raincoat, not like palm leaves. I just like to ask, because I've seen there is like really a raincoat version of that to wear, no? And you can see that also in some prints, 19th century prints, now that was used. But I remember seeing something very similar in a museum exhibit in Puebla. So that really caught my attention, because is that sort of kind of protection also made in Mexico? Would you know?
No, I don't have knowledge that this kind of bags or backpacks were use this kind of protection. That's why the reason I want to make this basket in the photogrammetry to make the all around, because we don't have something like that. And when you saw it in like physical, it's really, really beautiful. It's really beautiful, but we don't have that kind of like protections in the things in Mexico.
So not even like just a separate coat, like, but
Yes.
made of leaves,
Yes.
none.
Yes.
Okay, because really, let's see, I don't know if I took a photo of that. If I did, I will send it to you, because that
Okay.
really, I didn't realize, I mean, maybe I don't know where it came from, but it was in a Mexican museum.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Maria, for that question. Do we have any other questions for Dr. Maria? We have a comment from Sir Ralph in the chat box. Dr. Sanchez, I share your excitement. For many Filipinos, those born in Mindanao or Visayas, some of these objects are unknown. It is our hope that you can help bring to light the many questions that came out of your discovery.
Thank you. I hope we can, in the future and not very far away, we can say more of these objects, and we can, I want to make like I hope I can make like a virtual exhibition that everybody can see these objects and more explanation. The director of the museum was very happy that someone was interested in the objects. She said, it's very important to us that someone wants to know something about that. So I hope we can bring to you more information in the future, and in a not a very long future, in a little one.
That's right. Any other questions for Dr. Maria before we close the floor?
Dr. Sanchez? Yes. From your initial this how they call this initial investigation, no? What can you draw some maybe not maybe can you draw insights as to how Filipinos lived during those times? Can are you able to do that? Because I see a lot of many war objects. Do you find these people to be warlike or something? Thank you.
I really don't know. I don't know because when we were in the museum looking at the objects, they seem like there are little objects. It don't seem that are objects made to a war, to go to fight to another people because the shield is not very big and the arrows are little. So I don't know if there were some of ritual objects that they were using something to I don't know for sure. I don't know. It was a surprise because I believe when I have the first images of these objects, I thought that the shields were be very big, and when we were in the museum and can saw them objects, they were little. So we said, this is not for war, for sure it's not for war. So they started to have more questions to us. In my notes, I have like a lot of questions and a little answers. So it's we will have the answer for sure.
The
Yes, Mr. Fernando.
the shields are used by the Ifugaos and Bontocs when they go on headhunting expeditions.
Okay.
So they're used for war, yeah,
Oh, it's
definitely.
and you put the shield how? Like this, and you cover your face?
It's more to trap the victim.
Like this.
Yes,
Okay. It's like a
trap the
weapon, more like a shield.
yeah, to trap the victim and then cut off the head. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Thank you very much for this information. Do you have some books or something that we
Well,
can?
there's a lot of ethnographic material on the peoples of the Cordillera, on the Ifugao, the Bontoc, the Apayao, the Kalinga.
And
A lot
that
of
kind of,
ethnographic studies. They have been published already.
yes, but the thing, we don't have that kind of books here.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I understand maybe in Philippines, that's the question is if I can find some of them in the website or something like that. Because the problem I have is there are books we don't have here, so I can't consult them. That's why I'm
So,
asking.
although they've already been published internationally, like the a lot of materials on the Ifugao have been published internationally.
Okay, I will.
In fact, there is a book on Ifugao law, which is available, which is written. It's a classic book written by the American anthropologist Roy Barton in the 1920s. It's actually available now in digital form. Ifugao law.
Okay.
You can find a lot of, because I noticed those objects that you have are really from Ifugao. I mean, Cordillera is diverse, but I noticed there are objects really largely from Ifugao, like the bulol, the statue that's from Ifugao. So are the shields. I think they're from Ifugao.
Okay, thank you very much for the information. I will search for this book, and I will some way I will have that books in my power to read them and to consult them. I will make a solution from them. I want to ask.
Thank you so much, Sir Fernando, for that input. If there are no more questions, due to time constraints, we'll be closing the floor now. Thank you so much, Dr. Sanchez, for your time and for giving us like a very interesting presentation this evening. At this juncture, I would like to request all participants to please indulge us and to please turn on your camera for the mandatory group photo. Thank you very much. It's okay, no rush, everybody. We still have time. Okay. Are we ready? Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you everyone for accepting our request for a group photo. I'd like to remind participants to please accomplish the evaluation form, the link to which has been posted in the chat box. The evaluation form will be the basis for the issuance of certificates of participation. At this point, I'd like to call on Ms. Marissa Winkler, Third Secretary and Vice Consul of the Philippine Embassy to Mexico, for the closing remarks. Ms. Marissa?
Thank you, AJ. Thank you, Dr. Maria, for the very informative and interesting presentation. We hope that you will be able to find more Philippine cultural objects, and as we have discussed before, we can do the project. There will be more that I think that we can find here in Mexico, and we look forward to your virtual exposition. So thank you very much. And to our participants, yes, here in the La Historia Olvidada virtual colloquium series, we will not only be learning about Manila Acapulco Galleon, but we will learn more about the relations between Philippines and Mexico. So this is not the last episode. This is only for this year. We are going to have more episodes next year, as we still have a lot of experts and topics to be discussed. So we hope that you will still be with us, and please invite your friends. And hopefully there will be more, because that's our goal, to have more people-to-people exchanges. We will not only be learning about our countries here virtually, but we hope that there will be students from Philippines to come to Mexico, and Mexican students to come to the Philippines to learn more about our history, our culture, and we can expand more to other topics. Thank you very much, and have a good day, have a good evening. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Next episode, we will be starting probably in February. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a 1-month break.
Thank you, everyone. Happy weekend.
Happy weekend.
Thank you.
Gracias, Maria.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.